Hello and welcome to this live chat session. Sami, Hele Hele, Usman Mirag, Abdirrahman, Abdikadir, Birhane Bele, Gabriel Medain, Zero, P.O. Boy Trucking, Cassette, Solomon, Yunus, Asmilosh. Thank you for joining, all of you. Vikato, Yeptho, John Wonder, Ramsey, Musi Moss, Milo City, Abdirrahman, Somali Science, Lou Queen, G. Ankit Tra, Merga Tafa, hello. Nahum married Mbai, Aaron Hamza Abdi, Makade Ephraim, stay humble, God bless. Thank you for joining, all of you. Solomon Mulugata is saying, I appreciate your analysis. I appreciate your recognition. Marga is saying, good to see you, good to see you, good to talk to you, Marga. UC Yusuf, Daily African, Susie, God bless. Before I take your questions and we start chatting, viewers, I have two questions which I want to respond, which were posted earlier in the day by some viewers. Beatles, one of my viewers asked a question about what will happen if TDF go to Eritrea. I did a video on that, viewers. In present situation, so far, there is no likelihood of Tigray Defense Forces attacking Eritrea. First and foremost priority is Humera, Western Tigray. Secondly, someone asked about ORNTG, Oromia Regional National Transitional Government, which has been announced by Oromo Federalist Congress and Oromo Liberation Front. What is the future of this self-declared government in Oromia? I don't see a bright future because announcement is very late. It should have happened before election, viewers. OFC, OLF boycotted elections. It let Abiy Ahmed's PP win single-handedly, unopposed rather, in Oromia. Now they are announcing the formation of ORNTG. Much will rely on its recognition internally and externally. Will other states, other regions like Tigray, Afar, Somali regions, will they recognize ORNTG? What about international community? Will it recognize ORNTG as legitimate government in Oromia? I don't think so. That is why I personally see it is just a political alliance, not a government. You will see Ethiopian government launching a crackdown on the members which ORNTG will nominate. So it will be very difficult for ONTG to work. Because main leaders are in prison, Jawar Mohammed, Bakle Garba of OFC and Daud Ibs under house arrest. So main leaders behind the bars who will run this ORNTG. Abiy Ahmed, Mebrat Birho, hello, CMN. Mirga Tafa is asking, do you think Ethiopian army's capability degraded? Yes, no doubt about that. They have suffered losses. I think there were four main parties to this conflict: ENDF, regional forces of Mahara, Eritrean forces, and TDF. In my view, Ethiopian National Defense Forces suffered the most. They have lost their capabilities. Yes, TDF, they have also suffered losses, Eritreans as well. But the major casualty of this war is ENDF, viewers, because before the start of this war, they removed Tigrayans from ENDF. Then Eritreans were relying on military equipment of ENDF. And we saw in the end that thousands of ENDF soldiers have been captured by Tigray Defense Forces. So, in my view, ENDF suffered the most in this war so far. Menghan is asking about, has Ethiopian Air Force collapsed? Ethiopian Air Force has its limitations. In modern day warfare, you need precision airstrikes, viewers. You need airstrikes which are precise, which can pinpoint the location of the person you want to target, or the place you want to target. Ethiopian Air Force is not known for being for having this precision strike capability. They used drones in the start of this war, provided by the UAE, which have precision target capability. Ethiopian Air Force, if it's used even now, it would lead to civilian casualties. It would lead to airstrikes which would be off target. Civilian casualties, pressure built upon Ethiopian government. That is why Air Force has limited capabilities, Ethiopian Air Force. Jigjiga is saying, feed us more updates on the region. Tinvaria, what do you think TDF will take Humera? When do you think TDF will take Humera? Nitin is asking. Tazabi has joined, one of my strongest critics, but he has been a bit away, offline. Tazabi, you've joined after several days. Do you think there will be a huge war between ARF and TDF? Yes, important question. The title of this chat session is, Can TDF retake Humera? Today I did a video on that. I informed you about the presence of so many forces in Humera, viewers. I quoted you the source as well. Reuters have confirmed there is heavy presence of Ethiopian National Defense Forces, firstly. Secondly, Eritrean forces. Thirdly, regional forces of Mahara. And fourthly, local militias, all in Humera. In order to take Humera, TDF will have to work hard, viewers. There could be real bloodshed in the war for Humera, viewers, because I think the battle for Humera would be the fiercest battle, the heaviest battle since the start of Tigray war on November 4. Because Amhara forces, Ethiopian government, Eritreans, they have decided that they will not withdraw from Humera. That is why if TDF also decide that they will not tolerate the presence of these forces in Humera, and they launch an attack on Humera, we could see a real heavy battle there, real bloodshed there. That is why there must be some sort of dialogue. Otherwise, things are heading towards another phase of bloody confrontation between TDF on one side and all the forces on the other side. And TDF is being challenged now, viewers, how to cross that river and then take on all these forces. It's going to be very challenging for Tigray Defense Forces. If not impossible, if not difficult, it's going to be very challenging for Tigray Defense Forces. Very close is Eritrean border. Hajar is the main place on Eritrea side of the border. Reportedly, there is heavy presence of artillery of Eritrean forces. Their heavy military equipment is there in Hajar. So even if Tigray Defense Forces manage to enter Humera, they'll have to face Eritreans as well from Hajar side. That is why offensive for Hajar could be a deadly offensive for all sides. There is one slight exception to this analysis, viewers. We are not discussing Sudan. Sudan's role could be the key in fighting in the battle for Humera. So far, we have seen that Sudanese forces have not participated in this war. Yes, they plugged the borders before the start of this war, but they haven't entered Tigray, they haven't backed Tigray defense forces. But in the war, in the battle for Humera, Sudan's role could be very important. If Sudanese forces decide to back Tigray defense forces, Tigray defense forces might succeed in taking Humera. But if Sudanese forces back Tigray defense forces, Ethiopian National Defense Forces could enter Sudan from other places like Abdul Rafi, other towns on Ethiopia-Sudan border. So Sudan will have to decide what to do. It is saying TDF and OLA will overthrow Abiy. Well, we have seen OLA's capabilities in this war. It was being expected that while Ethiopian National Defense Forces are preoccupied in Tigray, OLA will make the most of this opportunity. They'll put pressure upon Ethiopian government. They'll advance towards Fenfene. But we saw that they could not make considerable gains. I mean, they took some territories, but then ENDF and Oromia regional forces, they launched a crackdown. Eritreans also entered in Oromia. And OLA went on the back foot. OLA is a small group, viewers. I think people are pinning very big hopes on OLA. TPLF and TDF, it's a force, they're a force, but OLA is not that big a force which can take over Oromia. And then there is considerable, OFC, OLF, they have gone for political solution. OLA is going for a military solution. Then there are parties which are supporting Ethiopian government. So there is so much division in Oromia. That is not the case in Tigray. In Tigray, TDF, TPLF, even opposition parties, all of them are on the same page. They are against Ethiopian government. Abiy, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, they are against him. We are not seeing the same consensus in Oromia against Ethiopian government. That is why I don't see the possibility of OLA taking control of entire Oromia. Tizab is asking, does the unilateral ceasefire not apply to Mahara forces? It applies to everyone, Tizabi, yes. It applies to everyone. But they say that they are in their territory. Mahara forces say that it's their territory. So no question of any withdrawal. Mike is asking, why don't you recognize Amhara's claim to Humera? Mike, I never said Humera is part of Tigray or it's part of Amhara state. It's a long-standing dispute. I am covering this war. When this war started, Humera was part of Tigray. So they want to retake it. If it belongs to Amhara state, they can claim it. I only discuss Humera from military point of view. I am not saying that the land belongs to Tigray or Humera. I only discuss the military point of view of this war. Humera is important strategically. Humera is fertile as well. You know that Humera is very fertile. And It's strategically important as well because it is on Tigray Sudan border. So it has strategic significance. It's fertile. It can feed thousands. That is why Humera is important. Someone is asking, how do you describe TDF? Let me just talk about, because this is the first chat session after the fall of Mekelle. So let's talk about fall of Mekelle as well, how TDF managed to enter Mekelle. There is no doubt, viewers, that Tigray Defense Forces, despite being under pressure in central Tigray, managed to advance towards Mekelle. They forced Ethiopian National Defense Forces out of central Tigray. But having said that, Eritreans had started their withdrawal from Tigray before the fall of Mekelle. When Tigray Defense Forces entered Adigrat, I think 2 or 3 days before the fall of Mekelle, there was no presence of Eritrean forces in Adigrat. If you remember, I did 2 videos on that. Then we saw that Eritrean forces, they moved from Zalambasa towards Adigrat, and TDF withdrew from Adigrat. So before the fall of Mekelle, Tigray Defense Forces, Eritrean forces had started their withdrawal from Tigray, partial withdrawal. And Tigray Defense Forces did not attack retreating Eritrean forces. Instead, they confronted Ethiopian National Defense Forces. They targeted ENDF, and ENDF were on the run. Now you see, views, that had there been no presence of Eritrean forces in Tigray, had Eritrea not been part of this war, Ethiopian National Defense Forces would not have been able to take control of Tigray. So Eritreans did play a big role, a key role in making Ethiopian National Defense Forces take control of Tigray. The day they started their withdrawal, partial withdrawal, not complete, ENDF went on the back foot, and Tigray Defense Forces, they inflicted very heavy losses. Within the last 10 days before the fall of Mekelle. There is no doubt about that. Ethiopian National Defense Forces could not plan how to withdraw from Tigray. And they were relying on Eritreans, they were relying on Mahara special forces. So there was a total disconnection between Eritreans and ENDF at the end of this war. That is why ENDF suffered, viewers. They have suffered the most. Jabir is saying, how come Eritrean Ethiopian army forgot the unit of army in Tigray, then TDF have to circle them? Jabir, could not get your question. What is the landscape of Humera and how will this affect the... Humera is not like Central Tigray. It's not mountainous like Central Tigray. Central Tigray's terrain is different. Humera's terrain is different. That is why war in Humera, fighting in Humera, it could be very deadly. Kamikaze, will US support TDF? The way it's supporting, it will keep on supporting. Diplomatic support, sanctions on Ethiopian government. Will Ogaden region start unrest in your opinion? I don't know. Election results will determine the future course of Ethiopia and Ethiopian government views. Results are coming. Let's see how opposition parties respond to final results. Will they go to a court? Will they accept the results? What will happen? That remains to be seen. Alim is saying, I don't think TDF will pursue push on Humera. Rather, will push on Raya. Yes, important observation. Someone is saying TPLF will push towards Raya, not Humera. Viewers, I have said in several previous videos that TDF or TPLF, they need one of their borders to be with a region or a country which is friendly. Even if they take Alamata, Raya, Amharas will be their neighbors. They won't have any connection with any country, region which is friendly towards them. They need Humera. They need Humera, or they need a route through afar towards the sea. That's not possible. They'll go for Humera, in my view. They'll try to secure Humera. They might be moving towards Elamata as well. Definitely, they will not leave Raya. And fighting is being reported in some parts there. But ultimate target of Tigray Defense Forces would be Humera. They can they can afford losing Raya, I think. They can afford losing Raya. They cannot afford losing Humera in current situation. Because now they are under a siege on all sides. Tigray cannot survive if it has so many rivals on all its sides, which are against this region. So Tigray needs an outlet with Sudan. Usman is saying the Ethiopian army will collapse soon. Well, now the fight would be between regional forces of Amhara and TDF. ENDF will play a role, but the main role would be of regional forces of Mahara. They haven't collapsed. They did not suffer very heavy losses. Jigjiga is asking important question. What is the most possible designated survivor that can lead and reunite Ethiopia? Yes, important question. How can Ethiopia be reunited? Who will bell the cat? I mean, who will do it? Ethiopian opposition parties can play a role here. If they reject election results and if they start a political movement, OFC joins this movement, OLF joins this movement, the movement spreads in different regions, TPLF also joins, it can lead to a change, a peaceful change in Ethiopia. But if opposition parties, all of them, accept election results, Abiy is re-elected or elected for the next term, I don't see then Amhara forces withdrawing from Tigray, and TDF will keep on pressing towards Humera. So we might move towards more bloodshed in that scenario. Zimba is asking, what is the strength of Eritrean army after Operation Alula? After Operation Alula it targeted ENDF, whatever we heard about this operation. Fighting mainly occurred between Tigray Defense Forces and Ethiopian National Defense Forces. You must have heard statements from Colonel Gabre, from Getachorida. If you analyze all these statements, almost 90% reports indicated fighting between Tigray Defense Forces and ENDF. There was no mention of Eritrean forces in most of these reports. So Elula led to downfall or destruction, partial destruction of ENDF. Eritreans were not, their forces were not heavily damaged in Operation Elula. What is your honest opinion on TDF fighting with 5 forces and taking offensive? Yes, we have talked about that several times, that TDF, even just survival is a win for TDF, because they were faced with several rivals. Afar regional forces, Amhara regional forces, Ethiopian National Defense Forces, Eritreans, drones, UAE. So they were facing several rivals, but they managed to survive. Even survival is a victory. If victory or win is the right term, these are not good terms to use in wars, because thousands have died, viewers, civilians, soldiers as well. I mean, if ENDF soldiers are fighting they were fighting in Tigray, you cannot blame them. Their job is their bread and butter, and they did not have any decision-making power. The war was decided by the men in government. Though those men are responsible who were in power, not the soldier on ground. He is killed or he kills. So you cannot blame them for what happened in Tigray. And last important thing about Tigray before we take next question is that I liked one sentence which was said by, I think, Debrecen when he was in Mekelle. It is attributed to him. I don't know if he said it or not. We should seek justice, not revenge. These were exact words. I think people should call for justice, not revenge. Not revenge on Ethiopian National Defense Forces or the civilians which helped interim government or Ethiopian government. People should call for justice. Tigrayans should call for justice. Carry out investigations. People who are responsible, bring them to justice. But don't seek revenge, because revenge killings, ethnic killings, they have led to this mess which Ethiopia is in now. There must be justice, not revenge. That's the only solution to the problems here in Ethiopia. Who blew up the bridge, is someone asking. Yes, this demolishing of this bridge has become a mystery, viewers. Both the sides are accusing each other. Now, we relied on UNOCHA. UNOCHA said that its aid workers were on the ground and they saw some government troops which blew up this bridge. But government says that TPLF aligned groups, they blew up this bridge, and now government is trying to restore it, and they are using some mechanized bridge as a sort of makeshift arrangement. Honestly, I have tried to dig out some facts, but it has remained impossible to say for sure. So I will rely on UNOCHA, what they said. They have their sources on ground. These aid workers, they not only provide aid, but they collect intelligence as well, and you cannot ignore their opinion. Someone is asking, second filling of dam is underway. What will Sudan and Egypt do? Yes, important question. And Galal is asking, is this disintegration of Ethiopia slowly coming its way? Uh, Second filling of GERD, it's underway. We know the trains have started. Experts are confirming second filling underway. What will Ethiopia Sudan do? They went to international forums like UN Security Council. Just a few hours ago, I informed you, UN Security Council said, no, we cannot take up this issue. We cannot resolve it. So, no signs of international mediation. What will happen? Problem here is that Sudan is facing economic crisis. We saw protests in Sudan just a few days ago. There is inflation, unemployment. al-Bashir was overthrown, military took over, but these people could not perform. They don't have money. They don't have performance to show. Sudan is not in a position to challenge Ethiopia. So the rival for Ethiopia regarding this dam is Egypt, not Sudan. Egypt has a problem that it can only go for military action. It has exhausted other avenues. It contacted African countries, it contacted the US, the UN, but no one is coming to the help of Egypt. On the other hand, Ethiopian government is convinced that it will do the second filling at any cost. And this nationalist rhetoric about second filling, it suits Abiy Ahmed because you know that his position is slightly weakened after Tigray, after the fall of Mekelle. Now, if he succeeds in the second filling of GERD, it will lead to prop up of his political position. That is why Ethiopian government is all set. Sudanese Egyptian options are very limited. They can only go for military option now, and they won't go for military option, in my view. Ethio is saying, when are you going to visit Mekelle since you have been working in favor of TPLF? I haven't been working in favor of anyone. I don't know why you people accuse me of working in support of TPLF or TDF. They accuse me of backing ENDF sometimes. So I am being backed by both of you, by ENDF and by TPLF. No, it's not the case. I believe in speaking the truth, reviewers. No matter I make videos or not, no matter I make money or not, what matters is the truth. If I have to tell lies here, then there is no point in sitting here. The purpose of this channel is to speak the truth and to make it a platform for healthy discussion for all of you. I have invited all of you to join me. It does not matter if you don't have any money. Contact me, just confirm your identity, appear on this channel, talk to the world, talk to Ethiopia. This channel is watched across the world in more than 40 countries. Come here, express yourself, but don't spread hate. Work for to work towards love, towards uniting people. I'll welcome you, any of you, Eritreans, Ethiopians, Sudanese, Tigrayans, Amharas, all of you are welcome here. Jaden is asking, why do you think Eritrea withdrew? Yes, important question. Why did they withdraw? They could have gone on fighting. Well, the main purpose of Aratian intervention in this war was to weaken Tigray defense forces because they had some decisions in their favor about border disputes. The decisions were not implemented because TDF were in control of things. So Aratians wanted to weaken TDF and they tried their best. Most of operations in Central Tigray, they were launched by Aratians, but they could not crush TDF. So there was no point remaining in Tigray. They had done their best to crush TPLF. Then they devised a new strategy. Let's withdraw, encircle Tigray, make deployments on border areas, take control of western Tigray, block all the roads, and force TPLF to negotiate. It's a new strategy that lay siege to Tigray, take western Tigray, take Raya, block all roads, and make TDF and TPLF negotiate. So it's a new strategy. Let's see what happens, how TDF will counter this new strategy. Someone is asking about Eritrea's internal stand, their army. It's very difficult to get verified news from Eritrea. There are several opposition groups which are working. I don't rely on the reports because they're opposition groups. Yes, they have their agendas. Again, someone is asking about a coup in Eritrea. People are talking about it, but I don't have any verified information or information that I can rely on. That is why I won't speak on that. Important question someone is asking, is there any sign of Tigray seceding? Yes. What will TPLF do now? TPLF is playing with its cards close to its chest. They haven't announced independence so far, but they haven't rejected it as well. I mean, they are focusing on Western Tigray. If they can take Western Tigray, they wouldn't announce independence. They will try to weaken Abiy Ahmed government. TPLF has been in power in Ethiopia because they have ruled Ethiopia. So they would be thinking about ruling Ethiopia again. Why would they be restricted to just Tigray? They have ruled Ethiopia for years. Why wouldn't they be thinking of doing it again? Their main planning would be to take control of Humera, Raya, and then from here somehow weaken Abiy Ahmed and come back in central government. If they cannot, if in future they are not able to take control of Western Tigray and Alamata, Southern Tigray, we might see them calling for independence. Do you think Abiy will change the constitution? Don't know about it. Election will determine several things, viewers. Sub-Sahara Post is saying they will take Western Tigray this week, Sajid. Sub-Sahara Post. I watched some of your videos. Sub-Sahara Post, interesting prediction. Let's see what happens. But as I said earlier, it's going to be real bloodshed there because now on government level, Ethiopian government has officially said that they will not withdraw from Humera. And all their forces are there. Humera is teeming with thousands of ANDF Mahara forces. Battle for Humera won't be an easy one for TDF. what happened to TDF Air Force. Did TDF have any Air Force? It's a news for me. Jinegal, do you scare for your life? As long as you are speaking the truth, no need to be scared. Someone is saying government has no more choice. One is to make peace and concession with TDF or be toppled. Who will topple this government? This government is not under threat in terms of overthrowing. I don't think so that someone is going to topple it. Gigi is saying, do you think TPLF is in a better military position than November 4? Fight for Western Tigray could be deadly one, as I said earlier. But now at least TDF have the freedom to plan their offensive. They were in Central Tigray, they were under pressure, and on all sides they were being chased. Now they are in a better position to plan this war, to plan offensive on Western Tigray. You're right, but the problem is that it's a small area. It's not highly mountainous, and Eritreans, ENDF, Amhara forces, they have decided to keep this area under control. That is why TDF will have to do something out of the box to take control of Humera. Someone is saying, scary is natural. We love you, don't want to lose you. Thank you for showing this concern. I don't want to lose you as well, all of you. It's you who are this channel, who is My Views and News. Sajid is not My Views and News. My Views and News is nothing without you. Viewers, 45 minutes have passed. Thank you for joining. Let me now just wrap up this live chat session. All eyes on Humera, Western Tigray. Coming days very crucial. We have seen that international community is just issuing statements. It won't be able to play any proactive role to find a solution to Western Tigray's conflict. We are moving towards another bloody round of fighting in Humera if there is no mediation. There must be some sort of mediation, otherwise this war will go on. Thank you for joining. Thank you all of you. See you in the next live chat session on next Saturday. Bye bye.